Okay, everyone, we will be starting with a brief video, so we'll start that right off, and then we'll get into our speakers today. Thank you.
Your story, like so many others, deserves to be told. Over the years, you've paired your strong vision with an unwavering work ethic. You've asked the most of yourself and brought so much to this community. And as Columbus has become a part of your story, you've become a part of our story. At the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, we see you, the hours you put in every day, the insights you gain at every turn. You've established not only who you are, but also what's next for you, and we're here to help you get there. We help to elevate businesses, support people, expand portfolios, and bring ideas to fruition. We are your champions, knowing that when we all have a seat at the table, our city is stronger for everyone. We empower small business owners, job seekers, and colleagues to seize every opportunity. We're making Columbus a smarter and more open city for all, because you make us better. With every step you take, you elevate our collective understanding and shape where we're headed as a community. And as you're defining everything you'll become, you're making Columbus an example of everything a city can be, because our diversity makes us stronger. The City of Columbus, Office of Diversity and Inclusion. Defined by you, made for us.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Rhonda Barber with the Ohio Business Development Center. I'm pleased to welcome you today. The Ohio Business Development Center is partnering with the City of Columbus to operate the city's Minority Plan Room. After today's activities, please stop by down in Suite 104 to see the wonderful accommodations the city has provided for small businesses. The plan room will be a central hub of activities for small businesses. The construction plan room will house construction documents, provide internet access and computer access. We also have secured a subscription with the Dodge Reports. We will offer business training and network opportunities as well. We are thankful and salute the mayor and his administration for providing access to opportunities for minority and women-owned businesses. Special thanks to Director Demita Brown and Roy McGinnis for their immeasurable assistance in helping to fulfill a void in the construction community. And now I'd like to introduce Mayor Andrew Ginther.
Good afternoon. A great day here in the city of Columbus, and so happy to have this room overflowing with interest and excitement about today's announcement of the completion of the Disparity Study. I want to thank Rhonda for that kind introduction, and Mary, from the Women's Small Business Accelerator, Mason Tillman, Director Brown, and all of her great team at the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and all of the members of the Cabinet, city directors, and departments that are represented here today. When I took office almost 4 years ago, I challenged my directors to place a high standard on the role of diversity and inclusion at the City of Columbus, pushing for stronger recruitment strategies and tasking leadership to champion the value of diversity. They rose to the challenge and have made solid strides in viewing all that we do through an inclusivity lens. At the same time, I called for a disparity study for the city, the first one in the City of Columbus since 1993, the year I graduated from high school, because I knew that to make real and sustainable policy changes in the future, we needed to look where we had been in the past. While the study took longer than any of us ever anticipated, it was critical that the study be an accurate representation of our past. A data team led by our Department of Technology and Office of Diversity and Inclusion included department representatives who reviewed approximately 700,000 lines of data to ensure the data set was complete. I have complete confidence in this report. A disparity study measures the difference between utilization and availability. Our minority and female-owned businesses receiving access to their fair share of city prime contracts. We provided the consultant Mason Tillman prime payment records, subcontract records, and businesses available for these contracts for the time period between 2012 and 2015. What Mason Tillman found was that there were disparities for African American businesses, Asian American, Hispanic American, and Native American businesses in prime contracts. The study also reported an underutilization of women-owned businesses on contracts over $100,000. The study also shows disparities for African American, Asian American, and women-owned businesses for subcontracts. In addition to the study findings, Mason Tillman also provided recommendations for us in moving forward to leveling the playing field for all businesses. To be clear, our departments have already implemented some of these changes since the end of the data period. Recently, we published an inclusion report that reflects the progress of our departments in the areas of supplier and workforce diversity from 2016 to present. And I'd like you to join me in acknowledging our directors and the departments for the progress they've made thus far. And from our 2017 and 2018 utilization reports published last month, here are a couple of statistics to demonstrate the progress we're making and the results that we're seeing. In 2017, we saw a 50% increase in city spending with minority and female-owned businesses. In 2018, we saw another 24% increase over 2017. 15.58% of our contracts last year were awarded to minority and women-owned businesses. So we started roughly at 8, went to 12, and now nearly 16% of our spend is with minority and female-owned companies in the city. That's better, but better isn't good enough in America's Opportunity City. We've had successes as one of the largest employers in the city of Columbus in recruiting and hiring workers that better reflect the beautiful diversity of this city. If you've been to the last 2 police and fire class graduations, they were some of the most diverse and, by the way, highest scoring classes in either of the divisions' history. I'm very proud of the work, the progress we're making, and the work of all of my directors for accepting this challenge to look at everything we do through an inclusion lens. But as I mentioned, we're just getting started. Now we have an analysis of how we can improve from a policy standpoint, and I'm very excited about being able to move forward. My vision is for Columbus to become America's Opportunity City, the largest middle class of any city our size in the country, and a place you're more likely to go from poverty to the middle class and beyond than anywhere else in America. But in order for us to become America's Opportunity City, we have to first become America's Equal Opportunity City. It is now my pleasure to introduce the interim director of our Office of Diversity and Inclusion, Demita Brown, to talk through the study's recommendations and next steps. Director.
Thank you so much to Mayor Ginther for your continued leadership in this regard, to Rhonda Barber in your vision for filling the void of having a plan room in our community and seeking the right partners to come together to make sure that that happens. Thank you to all of our directors. If you'll just stand up so that we can acknowledge you. While I get the opportunity, go ahead and stand up. While I get the opportunity to be out front, speaking to our efforts around diversity and inclusion, it would not be possible without their commitment and the commitment of their teams to ensure that we're creating the processes and the abilities for our minority businesses to be successful. Thank you to my team at ODI who continue to support this work each and every day. And thank you to each of you here who entrust us with your visions for your businesses and your families and allowing us the opportunity to serve you. Today marks, the announcement of the Disparity Study today marks what I would consider a transformational moment in the history of our city. Creates an opportunity for us to reflect on where we've been in our city and our support of our minority and women-owned businesses, the long-anticipated results of which provides us with answers to the questions of where we've been while creating a roadmap for where we go from here. If I could leave one thing for today, it is that this really marks the beginning of our work. It's not the end, but it is certainly the beginning of how we begin to move forward. Having dedicated the past 15 years in the supplier diversity arena and having more than 20 years in the diversity and inclusion space, I've come to understand the challenges of minority businesses and what you face. I've heard your stories. I've shared in your moments of disappointment and frustration, and also your successes. And I want you to know that the Office of Diversity and Inclusion remains committed to you. We remain committed to your families, and we remain committed to your sustainability as a business. Many of you will hear me talk about the need for collaboration and partnership. The ideals remain as important today as they have ever been, perhaps even more so. We cannot do this work alone, which is why we've invited our partners from all across the city and all across segments of our community to partner with us in not only the launch of the Disparity Study, but engaging with us in the steps that are to follow. We dare not leave our prime contracting community behind. In order to make a sustainable change as it relates to the growth and support of our minority businesses, we need to partner with those prime contractors who in their own rights are already beginning to work with our minority businesses, who have mentor-protege opportunities, and who are subcontracting to continue to do more. Because as the video stated, we are stronger as a city when we come together and share and leverage our diversity. As we've worked through the development of the Disparity Study, we've continued to forge new partnerships that will allow us to continue to engage with minority businesses. From today's announcement of the Plan Room to the Business Opportunity Assessment Program, for which many of our partners who are in the room today support, to our work with the Department of Finance and Management and the Procurement Office around helping minority businesses better understand how to navigate our processes, we continue to partner and work with you. While the Disparity Study recommendations will provide us some avenues of some understanding of where we've fallen short, it creates great opportunities for what we can do in the future. Some of the recommendations that have come forth, many of you are familiar with, talks about our need to update and simplify our bidding and contracting processes. It also talks about our ability to grow the subcontractors of today to the primes of tomorrow, which is why it's so critical that we have your partnership in that regard. We'll look at subcontracting goals as well as a means to accomplish parity with respect to our contracting. We will continue to advance and heighten our outreach efforts to not only meet the needs of our projects with respect to subcontracting goals, but to ensure that we're getting the right subcontractors, at the table at the right time with the right capacity. Some of the other things that come out of the Disparity Study talks about an unbundling of projects. We all know that oftentimes that as those projects get larger, they become out of reach for some of our smaller and minority businesses. In order for us to create sustainable policy that allows us to grow and develop our minority businesses, we'll begin to look at those projects so that we can create a path for you to grow in your business, not simply remaining in the role of subcontractor. And then we'll also begin to look at some of our vendor registration processes and our contracting processes to ensure that we are simplifying it, making it easy, and providing you with the tools that you need to be successful. All of which will be led by an Office of Diversity and Inclusion that is properly staffed and resourced and trained to help you move your businesses forward. I am so excited about the work that we have yet ahead of us. I certainly understand that that is a long road and it will require lots of hours of attention and feedback from each of you in order for us to make that happen. And I welcome the opportunity to engage with you further. Without further ado, I'd like to bring up Mary McCarthy, who is one of our partners with the Women's Small Business Accelerator, to talk a little bit about that partnership, and then I'll come back and share some opportunities for you to become engaged moving forward. With that, Mary.
Hi, everybody. How are we doing? So I have to say, I got a phone call one day when I was driving in my car, which is where I usually am, and the call was to see if I would be interested in sitting on the Diversity and Inclusion Board. I was so honored that somebody had recommended that I join this wonderful board. And I have been working with Demita Brown ever since. So the Women's Small Business Accelerator came out from the need that we saw to really help women expand and grow their businesses. And we find Columbus to be just an incredible opportunity to really take advantage of how we can be as successful as we want to be. So we provide guidance and education. And that's the knowledge that we are bringing to the Diversity and Inclusion Board. And I have to say, Demita has been so open and so interested in not only learning on how the city can really partner strongly with us, gain the knowledge and information that we have to share, but they have partnered in some really great upcoming initiatives that we're excited with. This is an incredible study, and I know that there's a lot to read. I got the highlights yesterday. I didn't read the whole thing. It's going to take a lot of hours to do that on my end. But I like the highlights. I like the fact that they're talking about the next steps. This is the beginning, and together we can achieve and make Columbus one of the strongest entrepreneurial communities for all of us. And I'm excited to be a part of it. So thank you.
So just in terms of next steps and how you remain engaged in this work moving forward, first and foremost, we encourage you to utilize the plan room, to partner with Rhonda to get your needs and questions addressed. If there is something that we can do that is not currently on the plate, we love to hear from you and make sure that we're being responsive to that. Tomorrow evening, Council President Hardin, who I was remiss in thanking for his leadership, will be hosting a public hearing about the Disparity Study, and our consultant, Mason Tillman, will be in town and available to talk through the study's results and answer any questions. We will have a series of community meetings taking place on August 5th, not a series, just two, on August 5th, and we encourage you to come out and hear more details from Mason Tillman about the report, and also get your questions answered there as well, should you're not able to meet tomorrow's event. Going forward, as we begin to implement these recommendations and begin to define what that looks like for the city, we encourage your engagement. We want to make sure that as we begin to put forth any policy, that we do so in a manner that takes into consideration the impacts to those who are most affected. And so we want to hear from you. There will be a number of avenues that we will create to allow you the opportunity to weigh in. In addition to community meetings, there will be surveys that will go out, as well as focus groups and other things. And so we encourage you to have your voice be heard. And then last but not least, because I would be remiss if I didn't do so, we encourage you to come out to the Small Business Conference October 1st and 2nd. That is yet another opportunity for you to gain access to information, networking, and education that will help you grow your business and get connected with folks who can help you along the way. So I thank you for coming today, and I look forward to talking with each and every one of you moving forward. Thank you.